Today is Thursday, April 23rd, 2026, and this is Read Through the Bible.
Hi, everyone.
We're in round 3 of Job and his friends.
We are.
Yeah, so round 3 began with Eliphaz, and now it continues on with Bildad in Job chapter 25, but there's no Zophar.
Right. So they're running out of things to say.
I think that's what's going on. In fact, even Bildad's speech, if you look at it here, it's only like 5 verses long. And he doesn't say anything very profound. Mm-hmm. And Job in chapter 26 kind of mocks him, like, that's all you got to say? Really?
Right.
It's quite humorous.
Well, if you go back to Eliphaz's speech in chapter 22, which was the first speech of round 3, he ran out of things to say, too, because all he had left to say was all of these very false, fabricated accusations that he made against Job.
Yeah.
That had no basis, that were really very cruel. But that's all he had to say.
Yep. So the end, the third round they're really kind of withering away.
Yeah, they're fizzling out.
Okay.
But Job, on the other hand...
Oh, my goodness. He's going to pick it up, and from 26 to 31, he is going to just be strong. He's like coming on strong when they are fizzling away.
Right. He is going deeper with his understanding and his clarity. Mm-hmm. And... yeah.
Which is shocking for someone who's suffering so badly.
Right, yes,
in a psychological state of that he is so theologically coherent. It is quite amazing. And
not only his suffering, but just how much his friends have accused him and
beat him down.
Beaten down, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so here we're going to read Bildad.
He's coming forth as gold.
Yeah. Chapter 25, verse 1. Then Bildad the Shuhite answered and said, Dominion and fear are with God. He makes peace in his high heaven. Is there any number to his armies? Upon whom does his light not arise? How then can man be right before God? How can he who is born of a woman be pure? Behold, even the moon is not bright, and the stars are not pure in his eyes. How much less man who is a maggot, the son of man who is a worm? Well, that's it.
So he's just going back to his old thing of like, you can't say you're blameless because no one's blameless.
Yep. How can you right before God? Okay. And now Job starts with sarcasm in chapter 26.
Okay, then Job answered and said, How you have helped him who has no power. How you have saved the arm that has no strength.
Oh, Bildad, you're so wise. You've helped me. You saved me.
Not really.
Not really.
Verse 3, How you have counseled him who has no wisdom and plentifully declared sound knowledge. With whose help have you uttered words, and whose breath has come out of you?
Like, oh man, who helped you? Like, your stuff is really good now.
The dead tremble under the waters and their inhabitants. Okay, now he's shifting here.
Shifting, and this is one of the most beautiful expositions of the power of God, just even in all the scriptures. I think it's really amazing here.
Okay, verse 6. Sheol is naked before God, and Abaddon has no covering. He stretches out the north over the void and hangs the earth on nothing. He binds up the waters in his thick clouds, and the cloud is not split open under them. He covers the face of the full moon and spreads over it his cloud. He has inscribed a circle on the face of the waters at the boundary between light and darkness. The pillars of heaven tremble and are astounded at his rebuke. By his power he stilled the sea. By his understanding he shattered Rahab.
No, Rahab here is not the Rahab hiding the spies. This seems to appear to some other being or something. Like Leviathan or some other something that God shattered. Yeah.
Okay, verse 13. By his wind the heavens were made fair. His hand pierced the fleeing serpent. Behold, these are but the outskirts of his ways, and how small a whisper do we hear of him. But the thunder of his power, who can understand?
Yeah. It speaks about the great power of God, and it just says the great displays of God's power, but the outskirts of his ways in verse 14. That's a good summary.
I thought it was interesting. We read something beforehand that said that these words that Job says about God, he's not just scoring rhetorical points. Mm-hmm. He actually believes this.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important.
And then the astonishing thing comes then in chapter 27 when he says, as the ESV, heading says, I will maintain my integrity. Basically, that's what he's going to say. He's going to say, no, I'm going to be right. I still am not sinning. He still then pulls up God. He says, I swear to God, essentially. He says, verse 2, as God lives, who has taken away my right, the Almighty who has made my soul bitter. Job doesn't abandon God even when he's accusing him. So it's happening here. As long as my breath is in me and the Spirit of God is in my nostrils, my lips will not speak falsehood and my tongue will not utter deceit. Far be it from me to say that you are right. Till I die, I will not put away integrity from me. He's just digging in his heels at this point. Yeah. I hold fast my righteousness and will not let it go. My heart does not reproach me for any of my days. Wow. But at this point, then in verse 7, he's going to say, I am righteous, but then he talks about his enemies, and his enemies are probably Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, and basically he brings a curse upon them.
Yes.
Verse 7 and following.
Okay, so verse 7 says, let my enemy, wink, wink.
Wink, wink, yep.
Let my enemy be as the wicked, and let him who rises up against me be as the unrighteous.
Who, as he's going to say, like these other guys have said, the wicked people face a terrible end and things go really bad for them.
Right, because they've been telling him, well, Job, here's what happens to the wicked people. You must be wicked. Now he's really throwing this back at them, and he's saying, well, I hope that my enemies will face what's going to happen to the wicked.
Yeah, so what's interesting here is he just picks up the argument. I mean, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar all speak about just how calamity comes upon the wicked people, but Job said in chapter 21 that actually the wicked people live long and it's not always so cut and dry. But here he says, yes, the wicked suffer and I hope that comes upon you.
Yeah.
That's verse 7. That's the key.
Yeah. Okay.
So here we go.
Verse 8. For what is the hope of the godless when God cuts him off, when God takes away his life? Will God hear his cry when distress comes upon him? Will he take delight in the Almighty? Will he call upon God at all times? I will teach you concerning the hand of God. What is with the Almighty, I will not conceal. Behold, all of you have seen it yourselves. Why then have you become altogether vain?
This is the portion of a wicked man with God, and the heritage that oppressors receive from the Almighty. If his children are multiplied, it is for the sword, and his descendants have not enough bread. Those who survive him the pestilence buries, and his widows do not weep. Though he heap up silver like dust and pile up clothing like clay, he may pile it up, but the righteous will wear it, and the innocent will divide the silver. He builds his house like a moth's, like a booth that a watchman makes. He goes to bed rich, but he does so no more. He opens his eye, and his wealth is gone. Terrors overtake him like a flood. In the night, a whirlwind carries him off.
This is sounding like what happened to Job.
Yeah, it is. And so that's why it's shocking that he's saying this is what happens to wicked people. But verse 7, he wants it to happen to his enemy. The east wind lifts him up and he's gone. It sweeps him out of his place. It hurls him out without pity. He flees from its power in headlong flight. It claps his hands at him and hisses at him from his place. So basically, chapter 27, you're looking for a summary. First part of it he says, I hold forth my righteousness. And then he says, verse 13, what's the portion of a wicked man with God when he's cast off? Right? When God cuts him off. Just not a lot.
Right.
Like verse 8, what's the hope of the godless when God cuts him off?
And it seems like, based on verse 7, those are all things that he's wishing would happen to his enemies.
Yep. Okay, then chapter 28, it's kind of like a riddle.
Yeah.
Or a puzzle. Yep. This is really neat what's going on here.
I think the question of the riddle is, where shall wisdom be found?
Yep.
Okay. Verse 1. First, he's going to talk about mining silver or mining for metals.
Yep.
And where can you find that?
Well, it's interesting. Like if you search for it, right?
Right?
You can find it deep.
You can find it.
Yep.
Okay, so surely there is a mine for silver and a place for gold that they refine. Iron is taken out of the earth and copper is smelted from the ore. Man puts an end to darkness and searches out to the farthest limit the ore in gloom and deep darkness. He opens shafts in a valley away from where anyone lives. They are forgotten by travelers. They hang in the air far away from mankind. They swing to and fro. As for the earth, out of it comes bread, but underneath it is turned up as by fire. Its stones are the place of sapphires, and it has dust of gold.
That path no bird of prey knows, and the falcon's eye has not seen it. The proud beasts have not trodden it. The lion has not passed over it.
Man puts his hand to the flinty rock and overturns mountains by the roots. He cuts out channels in the rocks, and his eye sees every precious thing. He dams up the streams so that they do not trickle, and the thing that is hidden he brings out to light.
Here comes a question, right? We know where all the precious metals and gold are found, in the deep darkness of the earth where you dig. But where shall wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Man does not know its worth, and it is not found in the land of the living. The deep says, "It is not in me," and the sea says, "It is not with me." It cannot be bought for gold, and silver cannot be weighed as its price. It cannot be valued in the gold of Ophir, in precious onyx or sapphire. Gold and glass cannot equal it, nor can it be exchanged for jewels of fine gold. No mention shall be made of coral or crystal. The prize of wisdom is above pearls. The topaz of Ethiopia cannot equal it, nor can it be valued in pure gold.
Verse 20 is a big question again.
It's the same question, right?
From where then does wisdom come? And where is the place of understanding?
In fact, that's exactly the same thing. Verse 12 and 20 are exactly the same. And because you can find these other things, but
Right.
even in the depths of the sea and the depth of the earth says, nope, can't find wisdom here. You can't buy it either.
Right, exactly. So it's a mystery. Where is it? In verse 21, it is hidden from the eyes of all living and concealed from the birds of the air. Abaddon and Death say, we have heard a rumor of it with our ears.
Right, we've heard something, right? We've heard something about wisdom, but they even Death and Abaddon don't have it.
But here we're starting to get the answer. Verse 23, God understands the way to it, and he knows its place. For he looks to the ends of the earth and sees everything under the heavens. When he gave to the wind its weight and apportioned the waters by measure, when he made a decree for the rain and a way for the lightning of the thunder, then he saw it and declared it. He established it and searched it out. And he said to man, here's the answer, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom. And to turn away from evil is understanding.
Yeah,
Wow.
So all of a sudden, right, this kind of begins to open up the book of Job, right? They're battling back and forth, trying to understand how is it that Job was struck so strongly, being a righteous man that he was. Job hands, well, they said, well, you must be sinning. And actually, it's
and then they
found in
even-
the wisdom of God.
Right. Well, and they had been kind of mocking each other about, oh, you're so wise. Oh, wisdom dies with you. Like,
Yeah.
so they've been addressing the issue of wisdom.
Yeah.
And now Job says it so well. The fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to turn away from evil is understanding.
Which takes us into the book of Proverbs, because Proverbs says the same thing. Chapter 1, verse 7, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. And then also, just even in chapter 2, it says, if you seek it like silver, search for it as hidden treasures, then you'll understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God, because the Lord gives wisdom, and from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. So if we need wisdom to understand the problem of suffering and how this happens, we need to seek wisdom, and it only comes from God.
Oh, yeah.
And so Job, like, you can just see the depth of what he is beginning to talk about here. He had that magnificent expose on the power of God in chapter 26. He's going to hold forth his integrity, kind of still mocking them about the wicked. And then chapter 28, this great talk about wisdom. And
It's like a riddle.
it's a riddle, this puzzle, where we can find it only in the fear of the Lord.
And the answer comes in 28:28.
Yes. Okay, we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.